and it's difficult.
From the line, across to the land beyond the mountains. So we bring all the news, live analysis,
Atlantic.
Yes.
Across, I say, no dog is sports journal matter. Latest of it to in the for they are given to you, and I think that the competition. Okay, let's get kind of. I'll start calling. You are not is team mission excellence, and of course the basketball team awarded for the 15 record championship. $100,000 bedroom apartment, 3-bedroom, and very honor given to this sportsmen of Nigeria. Question about what essence do this reward bring?
Angles. The first, would be a media and commercial angle. Then the second would be the actual rewards themselves and how they relate to sports development in Nigeria. Now, the first angle, which is what a lot of people don't talk about, is the branding, the media, the storytelling, and now we know a lot of people, athletes especially, always have this feeling that the media is not important, they don't do anything for wrong, they don't do that. But without branding and the storytelling of the media, this rewards won't happen. And I'll tell you why. Now, the idea of mission was probably a brand thing, just the way like the Super Eagles did with Let's Do It Again campaign. So that Mission X campaign was a branding campaign. But the storytelling around it was all media. The media talked about it from day one. It was hammered and hammered and hammered. There was storytelling around it. And it is all of that that now built into that crescendo that got to the point where by the time we got to the final, the whole world was talking Mission X. Now, without that storytelling, they could have gone there, played, and won again, and nobody would have, even the president would probably have bothered to say, oh, let's reward this girl. But because they also got carried in the fever of Mission X, that's why they're getting these rewards. And so, we must all understand the power of both branding and storytelling that the media does for sports. That was one. Now, the second thing is the actual rewards themselves. There are two sides to that coin. On the one hand, you want to see athletes rewarded properly when they perform in representing their country. On the other hand, so there are people who look at it and think, oh, but you have other people who are not earning enough money, they're suffering, you're giving these guys 100 grand each. Now, those are two different things. And on the third leg, I should probably alleviate that. Now that you have rewarded the pop up, of course, about a week later, or about a couple of weeks later, the basketball team went and did the same thing, won 5 on the back. They also got rewarded. Now, what happens if the men's basketball team, who are running for the title of AfroBasket, will they also get $100,000? What happens to other athletes who compete and win medals? Do they get $100,000? Or if not, what is the criteria for giving one set of people $100,000, national awards, land in houses, and not rewarding a different set of people? So those are key questions that need to be answered. And again, I'm not saying that these girls don't deserve it. I'm just saying that when you open that door, it's kind of hard to close it.
Well, when you open the door of the rewards, it's kind of hard to close it. And what do you think? Will it always be 100 million naira every of course, the Tigers as well. Now, Tigers are already doing the quarterfinals of the basketball championship. 100 and of course, they as well hitting up the World Championship. Yeah. It's coming up in a few weeks. Do we see only continue to be despite the man on the street?
That continuity, because the money, of course, is very huge. You know, what stands million naira money. I don't really see that continuity. Maybe they probably fall back at the end of the day, and that's where the problem due to Peter. That's what, of course, really understand. Pointing the event, to continue this, I think is going to be a very huge one. But the fact is that we're even having a problem on ground of the fact that promises at some point have not been filled. Actually, I want for some weeks now. Continuity. I don't know how the government want to manage it, but continuity is very difficult.
Continuity is expected to be difficult. From the Colin, let me look at continuity. But first, does it with the first 100,000 football, the basketballers believe they get the top. The aspect of younger athletes. What does this reward motivation of spread across?
I mean, think about young child sitting up there and seeing these top guys getting 100 grand, for winning this, and they would also want to aspire to be there. But the issue there really is that it's not sustainable. So you can't expect that every time a team or an athlete wins a title, they get 100 grand from the government. And again, that's why I said, where is the clear delineation in terms of what are the boundaries we're setting? What's the basic benchmark an athlete or team have to hit in order to qualify for these rewards? For instance, with the Super Falcons, the 10th title they were winning more than any other team. For the Tigers, it was their 5th consecutive Afro basket on the bounce. So you can see that the clear bar there at 8. So I'm not trying to do their job for them, but I'm saying that for you have to before you can get this kind of work, because it's not sustainable to give everybody who wins something a certain amount of that kind of cash. But on a more long-term sustainable basis, we have to think about the structures in our sports. How do we develop sports on the grassroots level all the way to professional level? What kind of reward system are in place for athletes who get to that level, and how do we help them accomplish that? Now, when we do that, for instance, if you look at the US, doesn't matter what you do, you win, and whatever you win. From a government point of view, you don't get rewards. You might get a visit to the White House, the president, and all that. Yeah, but outside of that, the major incentives come from commercials, merchandising, sponsorship. Once you win, then you get the chance to negotiate higher fees in terms of sports or endorsement. But we don't have the same kind of circumstance here in Nigeria, so it all falls down to the government. So I guess, again, it's a question of saying, okay, what is the basic mark that athletes and teams have to meet before they get such fantabulous rewards from the government? Because if you remember, a group of former Super Falcons players already protested because they won, I think, the first 5 of these championships. Unfortunately for them, it happened during I think it was when our president was listening to Obasanjo, and he came up with the policy of a handshake. So those athletes, they visited the presidency at the time. They got handshakes and that was it. And they're not happy because, as far as they set the foundation for what the new generation are enjoying now. And so that conversation needs to be had. Can we retroactively go back and say, hey, look, these people, they set the tone, they were the trailblazers, they were the beginning of all of this that was happening. And so let's also find some way to reward it. They don't even have national award, no national title, nothing. They just went down the drain. So that's also a conversation about, but it's also what having in the context of the bigger reward system. Why don't we have also a sanctioned sports of fame? Why don't we have proper awards that rewards athletes for serving the country?
Okay, it looks like this is on the president. What is the national sports committee led by Odiko in trying to it's important here in the country, because if there had been a system, just presidents would do war system and do encourage the winners championship. It looks like every administration, depending on how the presidency feels at the time, reward. It looks like to me.
This is, I think, a policy document that actually outlines, a reward system for athletes. That document, I don't think it's been adopted yet, but there's a proposal for a national reward system that also includes things like a Hall of Fame and all that other stuff. So, if and when we get to the point of implementing these reforms in our sports ecosystem, then it becomes easy, like you said, for the government to just work within the boundaries of that, and then it's no longer dependent on the whims and caprices of whoever is in charge there, where one might decide to no matter what you've achieved, all you get is a handshake. The other one says, oh, well, you've achieved a lot, so yeah, you get life-changing money and rewards.
Well, I don't know, Colin, I'm still with you. I don't know what is in the proposal, in that document. I'm not privy to it. One of the states here in Nigeria, they receive from the basketball from the, by they will give naira each, and they will give you a. But what thrills me is the fact the governor of the development of building of a basketball state. And for me, that looks like the way to go. Yes, that state is not reputed to be one of the basketball playing here in Nigeria, but with huge building of, I think that younger talents to go to basketball and emulate basketball, putting a model for the country and the other states.
Oh, certainly. That's exactly good. You see, the one we cannot, this country is a basketball, because you can find talents everywhere and anywhere, and it's how you develop them, that how you identify, develop, and train them, and now leads to them becoming world-class athletes. And that's a very good point you make. Whether it's the state government, whether it's an investor, we do need to have sporting facilities at the grassroots level for young people to use, to train, and turn themselves into world-class athletes. I mean, if you look at, for instance, the United States now, it doesn't matter what kids start playing sport from middle school. Middle school is just below primary school. So you start from middle school, sorry, it's primary school, that's when they start playing competitive sports against other schools. And it is very, very well regulated with great facilities. And by the time they get to high school level, they're already playing at a very, very high level, whether it's basketball, football, American football, whatever it is. And then it's from there that they now get to play at college. Now, at each of all of these levels, they have some amazing facilities. I mean, I probably shared with you, but just 2 days ago, I shared in another group of journalists a high school football stadium in the US. It seats about 12,000 capacity, and the facilities were better than most professional club sites in Africa. In fact, in Europe, even it was a proper sporting facility for a high school, a secondary school. A secondary school. So and then some of these college stadiums are bigger than some professional stadiums in Europe and elsewhere. So we want to see, we're not going to be able to reach that scale, it's not yet, but if we start small, like you said, start building this, whether it's a tennis court, a basketball court, football field, swimming places, gyms for martial art, boxing, and so on, then we now develop coaches, professional coaches that will train from grassroots level to professional level. And we start doing that, we're definitely going to develop more talent. We can manage those talents to become world-class athletes.
Okay, since we're talking about facilities now, let's you on plane. Looks to me, now the football season is upside is league, and team may not the benefit of home games at stadium because of it not being up to looks like on so nothing going yet at outside of to ensure this repeat next by and go out basis to play the game.
Make the changes that are necessary. For a start, and I think we've beaten this drum almost today, government should not be involved as deeply entrenched in football the way it is. The first thing is all of these stadiums that are supposed to use are owned by the state government, right? So we need the clubs to be able to working independently to the point where they're able to maybe independent consultants to have their own stadiums so that they are able to stay there and the way this money we should manage. And even if it's still owned by the government, if the clubs have at least a majority equity from private investors, then they are now able to say, let's put some money behind, building up this thing and bringing it up to scratch and making sure that it's able to meet cap standards. Look at Remo Stars, look at the stadium they're building. It's their stadium, so they can play there. I think what we have, Sporting Lagos was playing the stadium until some things happen, they would have been playing there. So once we start to have those private individual or these private entities, owning of majority stakes in clubs as opposed to government, then we begin to see real progress. Now, to the here and now, for Nigerian clubs, it doesn't really matter whether they play at home or they play away. And the reason I say that is because the current set of Nigerian football fans, and I don't care what anybody thinks, I'm going to say are useless. They do not add any value to the football ecosystem. They don't buy match tickets, and even when they buy, maybe 200 naira, 500, at most maybe 500 naira tickets that they buy, and even they struggle to buy, they want to get in free, they want government or anybody else to pay for the tickets. They don't travel to away games, they want sports to sponsor their bus ride and hotel, whatever it is to go and watch the game. They don't buy shirts, they don't buy merchandise, they don't do anything that brings value to the club. So if you look at it, an average Nigerian football fan takes rather than gives to football clubs. So what I've been saying for the past few years now is that we need to change the demographics of the average Nigerian football. We don't need these so-called fans who don't add any value to the football business or the football ecosystem at all. We don't need them. Because if one person is going to pay 200 naira, coming to team at the end of the day, their major contribution is shouting at referees, screaming and causing trouble. Why do we need that person? Because one, you're not contributing commercially to the club, and then now you're also damaging the brand by your violent activities. So if we get one person who can pay a 5,000 naira to buy a ticket to come watch a club, that one person trumps 20 people who spend 200 naira. If that same person can buy a jersey for 15,000, 20,000 naira, or even more, 30,000 naira, that person already trumps those ones who are not buying at all. And if that person can buy club merchandise, apart from the shirts, whether it's a muffler, shoes, malls, or anything else, they already trump those people who are currently there. So right now, we need fans in Nigeria who will spend at the very minimum, and when I say minimum, at the very minimum, 300,000 naira a year to support the football club. If you are not a fan who can spend at least 300,000 to 500,000 naira every year to support the football club, we don't need the Nigerian football club. That's my take.
Well, I don't know. I have Kingsley. Looks like on the you are fan generally. What do you think should be environment is the from home, Warriors away from home, Kwara will be from home, to play the group stage and be available to play. So that these teams enjoy the benefit of real home games.
Yeah, for me, I think first of all, the teams, they have to work on themselves. Take a look at it for some time now. Of course, we've been playing matches, especially continental games in our way. I think first of all, at the helm of affairs of managing, they need to. What do we need to do to better the state? What do we need to do to team in a very good shape? I think if they start a particular one of improving the stadium, in facilities, definitely maybe gets a. Colin was talking about fans of about 100,000 support team. Yes, it's good, but so look at value. They really enjoy the game. You know, if I want to put my money on something, for it, a fans will not be there to say I'm to go buy my game. For the management of this team, they put is the stadium open? Is there, you know, the facilities, are they all right? They still very much for the fans to come in. And person at this point in
okay,
time,
let me back to Colin on this. Colin, his topic is from the club side or the support from the fan to so that they can begin to benefit the input of the team.
That's a really good point that you raised, and I like it. Now, the chicken and egg situation, right? Because on the one hand, if you don't pay for it, how you make the players play to the optimum when you're investing in them. But at the same time, we are very correct in saying that, you know, if I'm paying an amount of money, then I expect to see a certain amount of good football. And that's why I said we have to start from the bottom of, you know, having proper process of identifying, training, and developing talent so that they can become world-class athletes. We have to do all of this hand in hand. And so we have to, I mean, there's nobody who would disagree that we have a lot of talent in Nigeria. Now, if you look at our transfer system, the majority of the players in Super Eagles right now, if you take out the ones who were born in diaspora, the majority of players in the Super Eagles, representing Nigeria at the highest level, did not go through MPFL clubs. They were transferred from academies. Many of them did not even play more than one season in Nigerian football. In fact, I can't remember anyone at all right now in the current Super Eagles team who played, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I can't remember anybody in the current Super Eagles team, apart from maybe the goalkeeper, who played more than 2 seasons of league football. So what we want to see, rather than have those players, because we can see we have the quality here, rather than have them go abroad to go and play, if we have the money and this good system, professional system running it, then we will stay here. Stefan Nwagadi was here. He was playing here with, I think, Go Round and so on before he moved to South Africa, where he's now being here as everything. But he was that good when he was here. There are a lot of other players too who are as good when they are here, but it's only when they go abroad that we start to see them, oh, yeah. So the ingredients to make that product good is already here. Now it's a question of how we now turn that into eye candy that somebody will be willing to pay that amount of money to watch on, you know, and to pay that amount of money on an annual basis to watch. And I think it's something that we can accomplish. But everything has to go side by side.
Well, we have to take a break. Just before, let's have. We talked about our championship in the win Tunisia, Madagascar. What do you expect of the Tigers? We've seen Joshua with double figure 3 points in the last against just with the squad or the roster team to go all the way to the title for 2025.
Yeah. So you've got NBA caliber. Usually it's more defensive, but so you're seeing 3 points. So then who is, you know, for that team. So there's still got some really serious competition. It's a good thing that they beat Tunisia, the defending champion. For the life of me, I don't know what happened to Tunisia. The defending champion and they lost so badly. They lost the second game. They are out. But I think the Tigers going all the way. Last time they were in the knockout phase. This time I expect them hopefully once they have to go to the final. Whether they're able to win it, that's something different entirely. We'll see about it. It's just a shame. We have so many players playing the NBA and we're not able to get them to play for the Tigers just because of all that going on. But hopefully all
Okay, we'll take a break now. When we break, Colin will still be here, and of course, here. The why have they so badly again? Not put decent representation at the local African nations. Is it because we've not done well in this? Tell us why that has been, and across where Paul is back this week, and FC Barcelona in the four. They have been got star players have been there for registration. One other player, key player, is being signed for the. Look at why for FC register, and maybe what 2025, 2026. All of this when we return from the break. a Sports Extra edition here on Atlantic Television Network. On this edition, taking a look at here in Nigeria. And of course, we've had on the show calling of national sports journalist in ESPN in the United States of America. His depth of knowledge has been so far, and we'll speak with in football. But first, let's start local scene here. Colin, the Chan Eagles have had to crack off this edition of the Chan competition. Of course, you know the competition is for players in Nigeria, and so base players involved in this Super Eagles. Still, think at
around the world. It was one of our worst performances, and then we bounced back, and then we this time without it. But the point I'm trying to make here is that I don't want to dwell on the little details and miss out on the big picture. We've only done well at Chan once when we got to finish under Stephen Keshi. After the place, either we fail to qualify or we don't do it at all. So the question then becomes: is it about the players? Is it about the coach, or is it more about us as Nigerians, about our league that's not functioning properly, about our development system that doesn't allow for us to identify, train, and develop talent? So we've got to look at all of that, because when you look at the countries that are winning, you know, they have a better track record of strong domestic leagues. Now Sudan, even though they might be a country at war, they did have a strong domestic league. They were so strong that even our players, our top scorers, and so we're going to play and then rewarded adequately. So I think this again falls into the bucket of a broad strategy that I was talking about with the reward system, which is let's look for better ways to create a system that develops, trains, and leads to success on a more sustainable, long-term basis, and not just on, we did it on this year, we won. We did that one last year, didn't win. It's just such a scattergun approach that it's not something that we can continue to rely on. That is why we've only won the Champions League twice in our entire history, and it was done by Eyimba. And I don't think as much as have a level of fault, the coach might have some level of his own blame to go on. There's enough blame to go on, but let's look at the big picture rather than small details.
Okay, the bigger picture and the small details, and talking about sure, this team is a reflection of the play.
I really about going selected for Premier Football League, and of course going down probably 2 games and so look at it that more for me good so happy and the league came from Remo Stars from the league, maybe they team that you I think they played home and able to just getting down, man. I don't think for me enough, as it stands. So it's that Eric Chell did not have knowledge of these players, and he didn't have much time, of course, to be able to see what these players, will be able to show. Taking them down was trying most kind, of course, to see what he could do, and of course, all the efforts he couldn't put up a record. But I think on our league, that's the thing. More work for Benga Lebele, more work for the team in the league. If at the end of the day we can't beat Sudan, all right, and then we'll struggle against Senegal, that's a huge statement. And very poor in terms of the way we're here. The football we have done here is very.
Well, let's stay away from Nigeria now. We go to running out international sports journalists like this edition of the program. Let's start with Spain. Of course, the
However, I think the most important consideration here is that these big clubs always find a way to get around this. We saw Manchester City when they fell foul of the FFP. They found a way to find the game was not even up to the so-called breach that they committed. So in the end, it's Barcelona. They find a way to get around it. It's a smaller club that tends to pay a much steeper price for these infractions. I mean, look at Crystal Palace. They've been thrown out of the Europa League and they're going to play the conference simply because there's another club that's owned by the same owner who is in the Europa League. When Chelsea had the same issue when Abramovich owned a number of clubs, Chelsea didn't suffer the consequences. So I think that, like I said, Barcelona are a big club. They'll find a way, they'll get around it, they'll do whatever they'll play their place.
Okay, still with you because we're talking about Spain now. One of the big highlights of the kickoff of the 2025 season in La Liga counter Villarreal, and I think Oviedo, that featured Africa's one of the brightest players. What is his name now from Ghana, Thomas Partey. Some kind of reaction was introduced in the second half of that fixture. Some boo, of course, some actually giving him a resounding welcome, and it has to do with rape case. Do you think that players involved in of this nature should be in the thick of action while last?
Oh, definitely. I mean, look, everyone does the right trial. Found guilty. So, been charged with crime, and the case is on the way. He has not been guilty as yet, so we should convict somebody before he has been actually proven to be guilty. We've seen incidents like that where things have happened, and I think it was Benamendi was in a similar situation, and he was more or less cancelled until all of those allegations were proven to be false. So, by all means, yes, until a man is proven guilty, he's innocent, and he must continue to be allowed to do carry out his normal life.
Okay, now let's quickly go to the season kickoff is this weekend, and in action we saw Bournemouth against Liverpool. But there was a major incident in that fixture. The 4-2 scoreline is not under consideration. Abused by
the annoying part, one of the fans was actually insisting like chair, and he was really abused as I think Semenyo and a few of the black players. And so, luckily, well, not luckily, but I mean, he was removed from, escorted out of the stadium by police, and hopefully prosecuted and be banned from ever stepping foot in another stadium again in his life. If I have served this players final, which is sort of like a task force, essentially, Mercy is a member of that task force. Their job is to look at incidents like this, go off to players, speech, find, make it happen again. Pull ups to institute the sort of protocols that will help to prevent racial discriminatory abuses in the future. So I think is there. There is one from our US stories also. There's a lot of players who are in and this is right up their wheelhouse.
Okay, Colin, we'll get to find you at show, so we'll get a little more. Action, let's say, into the Premiership. Jamin Sesko, Victor Ekitiki. Do you into the process?
So before they adapt, that was probably the physical ranking of the Premier League. But now, because of the influx of so many players from outside England has tempered down, and so the very first game, the kid game, first game, goal and assist. And I will be surprised the same thing when it turns out for Arsenal. As for Sesko, well, there's a lot of expectation that Man United have not been the team that they were of old. So I do expect some level of underperformance there, and I'll wait to be I'll wait to be surprised at least to prove wrong.
Well, let's start. Captain of people, in fact, the captain is a disposition. Former player of the team is that they can rise could have been a better person to leading them to maybe trophy.
As far as is that team, Mark is captain, and you know what, this is not the way he's supposed to, and want a change. Everybody else, a captain does not necessarily see him as a so called captain fantastic. And guess who titled was Gerard and allowed not the team or how others. I mean, he came to really to win. I think we need to keep all of these parochial, keep all of these parochial opinions to ourselves sometimes.
What I don't know, because in the last thing about we've seen yet get to get that we're seeing.
The question is, what do you guys enough to captain? I think this is captain of former feature play. Of course, as a of the team, leading the team, because like Colin said, when it's as a maybe the captain, I think on that so the conversation at this point, because aim point is so try to but
a lot of there is counting and the goal, and a lot of people are beginning to say, especially
and he's a major threat for Newcastle. So not having him is available. But you know, teams eventually, whether or so, I think that as much as opinions hold, I mean, Alan Shearer was at Newcastle. He was scoring almost all the goals. He left. They had players replaced him and come scoring goals. So yes, without Isaac, we struggle, but they'll get over it.
Isaac not there, and but see, we've seen from it was definitely out. Looks like Isaac is way route with trying to force himself to FC Liverpool. Do you think this is the way players should go, especially when they are determined on leaving the club side? He still has, I think, on his contract.
Well, at the end of the day, was still not charity organization. Yet, they feel is lack of money that don't try in a heart. So I think players also want to look out for them, saying, you know what, if I get the best opportunity now, I should take it because it might not come in. And Isaac feels that he's worried about not having a Liverpool offer. I mean, he has now, and Liverpool is in. I guess he's forced himself off the club to let everyone has to look out for themselves. The club are looking out for themselves. Isaac is looking out for himself, and the fans are also looking out for themselves as fans.
Well, we have just about a few minutes, just to in the United States of America. LA Galaxy. Lionel return injuries. Influence to the
a lot. I think Messi has been Messi has been here. I think he's drawn remarkable interest to the MLS. I remember one particular game that they were to play away, and it turns out that I think Messi got injured or something. He wouldn't travel. The home team now had to start, apologizing to their fans and then giving them refund on their tickets because Messi was not coming. They had a full that they had sold house. It was not. These are that is not coming. Messi is it so? Are we going to have somebody else come and do the same thing, or once Messi goes, the crowds and the interest is going to drop again that level? So, but the good thing about the MLS and US professional sports bodies is that they are really run by professionals who know how to exploit something and then make it at least as long as they want, because they are built on making profits.
Many thanks, Colin, for being part of the show. Thank you very much. And just one word before we wrap up now.
Well,
thank you very much. This weekend,
Salah. History. Indeed, a goal. It's impressive. After, of course, goal this season, and we'll see how many as well this season.
The debate Salah, the African player in history. We don't know. We are counting down. And look at that. On behalf of everyone here on the network.